It just all screams fall to me, and I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's because the main character has orange hair, similarly to a pumpkin. What's up, y'all? I'm Jax, and I like to read. And I like to read books during all seasons of the year. However, I will say that I think that some books read better during different seasons. Some books are meant for summer, some books are meant for winter. So, with that in mind, I'm going to give you 3 book recommendations for each season. Now, are you going to agree with why I chose these for a given season? Maybe not. This is fully based on my feel for the book. There may be a book that's set in the wintertime and I choose it for summer because it feels like a summer book to me, okay? This is to me. I'm interested to hear if you agree, of course, but you have to keep in mind that this is just how they feel to me. Starting out with spring, of course, a lot of new beginnings here, a lot of kind of light-hearted, fun adventure stories, right? Voyage of the Dawn Treader, book 3, I believe, yes, in the Chronicles of Narnia. This book is so much fun, and I just think of it as like, okay, we're going through these magical waters on this wonderful boat, and we're doing all these little adventures. We've got the cool breeze of spring in our hair. It just reminds me of spring. It reminds me of fresh new beginnings, fun little adventures. I absolutely love it. First recommendation for spring, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader by C.S. Lewis. Speaking of fun adventures and new beginnings, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien is going to be our second springtime recommendation. Everything about the Shire to me just screams spring. I don't know what it is, but it really does. If I think of the Shire, I think it's all the grass, like it's a very green area. The hobbits are like very, just like happy-go-lucky kind of creatures. Feels very spring. Feels very, very spring. And then this one, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, New Beginnings. Alexander Dumas perfectly writes Edmond Dantes as having new beginnings. You could argue that maybe he doesn't because he holds on to this need for revenge for so long. But in a weird way, despite the kind of dark overcast of this book, I like it as a spring book because Edmund is ushering in his new life. It's just new beginnings and it reminds me of spring. I can't explain it. It just does. All right, we've got our nice spring books. Now let's move into summer. The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, book 1 of the Percy Jackson The Olympian series. I think this one's pretty obvious. Camp Half-Blood, it's a summer camp. I mean, this is a great summer read. Lighthearted, fun. You got all sorts of summer activities going on. If you ever went to a summer camp of any sorts, I think it's pretty cut and dry that this is a summer book. Lots of time at Camp Half-Blood. So much fun. Definitely summer. Book number 2, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This has summer vibes written all over it, I think. You're in the hot Texas sun. Screams summer to me. Cattle drive from Texas to Montana. Yeah, they go through multiple seasons, sure. But we start out in summer, and just any Western is going to have a summer vibe to me. So absolutely summer book, Lonesome Dove. We've had one book already that's centered mostly on a boat in Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I put that as a spring book. That is because it is a more childish, lighthearted story, whereas Moby Dick is our summer boat book. I think you need a book on a boat for both, right? Spring, summertime, that's when you're out on your boats, okay? This one is more adult. It's more dense in terms of the themes and what it explores with the revenge and everything. But you're still on a boat. The sun's always out. Summer vibes for sure. All right, fall. My favorite season, personally. My birthday's in fall. Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. I think we're going to start out with Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey, okay? Catherine, our main character, she is infatuated with Gothic novels and things, and she finds herself wrapped up in kind of her own head about some mystery that's going on with her friends. I think it's just kind of a cozy, fun, there's like a mystery, feels kind of spooky, Halloween-esque element to this book. And while it's a little silly and it's not one of my favorite Jane Austen novels, it's still a really fun read, and that whole spooky Halloween-y mystery thing makes it perfect for fall. Number 2 for fall, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Everything about this, the arcanum, the magic system, the Aeolian, it just all screams fall to me. And I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's because the main character has orange hair, similarly to a pumpkin. I don't know. I just think all the lute sounds and all that, those kind of scream fall to me as well. It's not like set entirely in the fall. You start school, like Quoth starts, I forget when he starts relatively, but like we normally start school in August, which is basically the fall, the transition from summer to fall. It just feels fall to me. Pretty much everything about it. The school nature, the magic, the Aeolin, Denna even feels like somebody that you would meet in the fall. Does that make a lot of sense? I don't know. It feels that way. Dragons feel very fall to me. Dracus, fall. This is a fall book. I'm saying it right now. To round out our fall recommendations, Jane Eyre. One of my favorite books of all time. Absolutely a cozy, cozy, cozy read. You just have somebody in Jane who never lets go of her morals. She is just as strong as can be. And I don't know, there's something about like the castles and like, well, not the castles, but the big houses that Rochester lives in, where she grew up as a kid, where she went to school, kind of like not the orphanage, but like the school for orphans, basically. I forget what it was called. There's something about that vibe that just screams fall to me. I don't know. Whenever I think of the weather during the scenes in this book, I always imagine it as fall, even if it's described otherwise. And I think that's the beauty we have as a reader, is you can interpret things however you want. Whether it's saying exactly what it is, you can still think of it differently. So yeah, this is a fall book. It's cozy. It's good for you to read. It's valuable to teach you how to stick to your morals, I think, despite any circumstances. And it just feels like fall. So it's in my fall category. All right, let's get into winter recommendations. I think these are just books that have like a darker feel to them, maybe. I know a lot of people would say like, oh, cozy vibes, but that's more fall for me. I feel like winter is kind of like my darker stories. We're going to start out with Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I think this book falls in the winter for me because it is darker. It follows, Raskolnikov as he commits this crime and spirals into madness, but also just Petersburg in Russia always has that vibe to me of like very snowy area. I don't know exactly why that is, but it just feels like dark, hazy, always snow on the ground. Everybody's colder than shit. So this feels like a winter read in terms of setting and in terms of just the overall plot. I mean, it's got a dark feel to it for sure. Number 2 for our winter list is Snow Crash, partly because of the name, Snow, but also because of that darker feel. We're in this half VR world, which VR I kind of always associate with winter, because why would you VR in the summer when it's so nice outside? So that feels like a winter thing to me. And then just kind of the dystopian nature. As I mentioned, anything that's got a darker feel to it in my eyes is going to fall into the winter category. And so that's Snow Crash. VR, dystopian world where everything feels dark all the time. And then, I mean, it's in the name. Snow. That's winter. To round out our recommendations and our winter recommendations, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I think this one, to me, is fairly obvious because the world is basically dark all the time with the ash rains and things like that. And then it's just always described with like the mists and everything. It's basically a heavy fog. This is like pure winter to me. I can't imagine it being anything else but winter when it's in this world, which is kind of strange because it's really just the darkness. It's like, it's hot and stuff. It's volcanic ash and all that, but it feels very dark and very wintry to me. This is one of those things where it's just how I interpret it, not necessarily how it's written. And just, the mist cloaks, the dark wavy cloak going through all the mists and stuff, that just feels winter darkness time. And so this is, in my mind, firmly planted as a winter read. So there it is, 12 book recommendations, 3 per season. I hope you check these books out. To be fair, you don't have to read them in those seasons. I know that other people will probably disagree with where I put them season-wise, but I feel pretty good about it. Whenever I was, looking at these books, I thought about it for a while, and this is definitely a summer book or a winter book or whatever it was. I'll put a little summary of the recommendations up now. So thank you for watching. I had a lot of fun making this. I will probably try to do more stuff like this in the future. I know how much people love book recommendations. I know how much I love book recommendations. That's how I found a bunch of my awesome books that I've ended up, loving. They're some of my favorites of all time. So I totally get it. And yeah, with that in mind, I will see you in the next video.